The young man burst into the philosopher's study with an air of frustration, his brow furrowed and his words tumbling out like a storm. "Philosopher," he said sharply, "yesterday you told me that all of our problems are rooted in relationships with other people, but that's exactly why I feel suffocated. Every day I'm haunted by what others think. My boss criticizes me, my parents expect so much, and my friends, well, I'm constantly worried they'll judge me. Tell me, how can I ever be free of this weight?" The philosopher, calm as always, motioned him to sit by the fire. He poured tea into 2 small cups, letting the steam curl into the air before answering. "My friend," he said gently, "you are carrying burdens that do not belong to you. You are living not your life, but theirs." The young man blinked in confusion. "Not my life? What do you mean?" The philosopher set a cup before him and asked, "Tell me, when a child refuses to study, what does the parent usually do?" "They scold, they nag, maybe even force the child to sit down with the books," the young man replied. "And yet," the philosopher continued, "whose task is it to study, the parent's or the child's?" The young man hesitated. "The child's." "Exactly," the philosopher nodded. "Whether the child studies or not is the child's task. If the parent interferes, thinking, 'I must make my child study,' they are stepping into a task that is not theirs. The result is resistance, conflict, and resentment. The parent is unhappy, the child is unhappy. Why? Because the boundary of tasks has been broken." The young man frowned. "So, you're saying my misery comes from doing tasks that aren't mine?" "Just so," said the philosopher. "You live anxiously under the gaze of others because you are trapped in their tasks. You post an idea and wonder, will they like it? You dress yourself and think, will they approve? You even choose a job by asking, will this satisfy my parents? But whose task is it to like you? Whose task is it to approve?" The young man blinked, the answer dawning on him. "Theirs?" "Yes," the philosopher replied. "Whether another person likes you or not is their task. It does not belong to you. To live as though their approval is your responsibility is to abandon your own freedom." The philosopher leaned forward, his voice firm now. "Imagine you prepare a speech. You put in the effort, you speak with all your heart. That is your task. But whether your audience applauds or sneers, that is theirs. If you tie your happiness to their reaction, you become a puppet, your strings pulled by their hands." The young man's shoulders sank. "But if I don't care what others think, isn't that selfish? Won't I end up ignoring everyone?" The philosopher chuckled softly. "No, not selfish. Separation of tasks does not mean isolation. It means respect. To say, 'This is my task, that is yours,' is to treat others as equals, not as objects to be controlled or as masters to be obeyed. When boundaries are honored, relationships become healthier." He gave more examples. Parents who demand children live as they say, lovers who insist their partner must change, friends who expect blind loyalty. These are cases of stepping into another's task, and so conflict arises. But think, if a friend chooses not to study, that is their task. If a colleague dislikes you, that is their task. Even if your child chooses a different path in life, that too is their task. Your task is only how you live, how you respond. Nothing more. The young man's voice cracked with worry. "But if I stop trying to please others, people will dislike me." The philosopher met his gaze steadily. "Perhaps. But that is the courage you must learn, the courage to be disliked. If you live only to avoid rejection, you will never truly live. Freedom means choosing your own path, even when others disapprove. It is to say, I will do what is mine, and I will let you do what is yours." The room fell into a deep silence. The clock ticked in the corner. The young man clenched his fists, wrestling with the thought. "So," he whispered, "you mean I must give up the chase for approval? I must live my own tasks and let go of the rest, even if it means being disliked." The philosopher's eyes softened. Yes, to be free is not to control others or to win them all over. It is to release them. Ask yourself in every moment, whose task is this? If it is yours, face it bravely. If it is not, step back. That single question is your compass to peace. The young man sat in silence, his heart heavy but strangely lighter too. He saw now how much of his life had been consumed by other people's tasks, and how little of it had been truly his own. The fire crackled. The philosopher leaned back, sipping his tea, as the young man whispered the question to himself again, whose task is this? And in that moment, the chains that bound him began at last to loosen.